Last time on Logliners, we changed our intro to Darwinism. So William is a graveyard watchman. He is Darwin's sidekick through the movie. He is ringing bells and just checking to see if people are dead. So he's going through this graveyard. And he's saying, still dead? Ding, ding, ding. And then he hears a bell ring in the distance. And we have this amazing, Billy the Butcher from Hocus Pocus moment where, this hand comes out of the ground and, pulls up. And it's Darwin. And he's pissed as hell. And he grabs the bell and starts walking. So he bursts into, and we're in, what is it? 1500s, 1600s, we don't know.
We don't talk about that.
Yeah, but they're at a party, they're wearing that, that type of
old clothes.
They're wearing old clothes, and they go into this old party, and at the party, everyone's under a spell. Put a spell on you. It's getting very hocus pocus.
It's literally hocus pocus.
But we don't know that yet. But there's a plant here that our villain, who we introduce, which we would love to be Idris Elba, he is a witch. And we introduce his lackey, who we've decided is actually a cat.
Mm-hmm.
So at this party, Charles is bullied. Idris is like, you've been riding off your theory of evolution for years, and now you're washed up. You're the fool. And Charles says, I'm not washed up. I have a new discovery that's going to change the face of the earth. You have no idea. And so Will is just trying to get his bell back, and he's following him. And somehow it comes out that Will has a boat. So Darwin sort of pushes his way into taking Will's boat. We spend the evening, I think, right? That's in the morning, we said.
Yeah, I mean, at first we had them get right on the boat immediately, but I think we wanted to make, the audience doesn't know that Idris is a witch or the guy is a cat. Everyone's just partying in the town hall.
Yeah. We should make it very obvious from the beginning, actually.
He's
hissing
the
audience
already.
Doesn't know he's a cat, but he's already everything he does.
And someone's like, he's so catty.
Yeah.
So yeah, they go to the town hall. Everyone's having a good time, and he's just like, Darwin, and he's like, shows them the bell, or he's like, oh, just a silly joke, and he's like, oh, this is a joke. Burying me alive's a fucking joke. And he's Darwin, just calm down. This is a party. Just come on, have a drink, eat some food. What are you doing? And he's just like, you know what I'm fucking doing? I'm gonna become Charles Darwin again. I'm gonna go out. And he's like, come on, Charles.
Yep.
You're a one-hit wonder.
You're a one-hit wonder. Theory of evolution.
Yeah.
We get it.
And we said something about him kind of being like, I'm the big dog now. I'm the leader. In nature versus nurture,
yes.
Nature always wins. And I'm the bigger gorilla in the jungle or whatever.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And then he's just like, my partner here and he's like, me? No, I just need the bell. And he's like, oh, we're gonna go on a boat. And he's like, you don't have a boat, Charles. And Will's like, well, I have a boat. And he's like, see, he has a boat. And he's like, well, I mean, and he's just like, so we're gonna go tomorrow morning. At the break of sunrise, we will be leaving. And he's like, Charles, just stop. And he barges out. Maybe there is a moment alone with Charles in his house first before he goes to bed, so you kind of feel some sympathy for him because he's just like a maniac.
Yeah.
And then it'll go to the next morning where he is getting ready to leave. Idris meets him at his house, and he's like, Charles, I'm sorry. I treated you poorly. I thought we were kind of laughing together, and I realized I'm more laughing at you, and that's not right. So this is the audience being like, Idris is a good person. Yeah. He just overstepped. And
he could be honest too, hey, I've been in your shadow for a long time.
Yep.
That you got to understand how that feels. Okay.
And he's like, you don't need to do this. He obviously is like, I need to do it. I understand what you did, but I think this is just for me. This isn't vengeance on you. I think I need to finally just go out and try something because I've had this feeling. And he's like, well, what feeling? Maybe he's kind of like, oh, what was it? And he's like, I don't want to talk about it. He's like, well, where are you going? And you could tell Idris is like, I need to know. I need to know.
What's your great discovery?
Yeah, what is it? You could tell me.
We're friends now. I'm a good guy now.
You're not buried anymore.
And he ends up leaving to go to the boat with Will. And
Will he wakes up Will and he's like, I haven't slept all night. I work overnight.
I literally work the graveyard shift, literally. And yeah, they go to the boat, and he's like, I really don't want to take this boat. It's just my grandfather's boat. And Charles like throws on his bag and breaks a plank off or whatever immediately. And he's like,
treats the boat like shit.
Treats the boat like shit. And it's like his grandfather's. It means a lot to him and his family.
He finds like a beautiful bottle of champagne on the boat, and he says, "We set sail." And he smashes it. I was saving that. That was from my wedding. Okay.
Yeah, he just shows him the champagne. He's like, for my wedding. Smashes it.
My prized champagne bottle. It's an aged vintage.
Smashes it, and he starts just pouring it on himself. And he's like, "This is how I start every trip." And then you can see Idris, his lackey, in the shadows, watching him. He's like, you see him, and then it goes back to them having the conversation. So you go, this guy's listening in. And he's like, listen, Charles, what is this discovery? Like, where are we going? And he's like, the Galapagos. And he's like, why? And he's like, I think there's something there that I feel I missed.
Yep.
There was something when I was there that happened, but I had to go and I had to get back to work. But now I don't have that stress. And it's just, I've been waiting for the right moment or something. I'm not sure, but I feel like this is it. And he's like, what is it? And he's like, I don't know what it is, but it's something we've never seen. I truly feel it in my gut. The theory of evolution was in my gut. And I'm having the same feeling, the same exact feeling I've never had before. And he's like, all right, let's go to the Galapagos. And then it cuts to Idris Elba's lackey watching, and he's like, and he goes, obviously to report back to Idris. So they obviously they're a step ahead, probably a half day ahead, I would say, of Idris getting ready and going to the Galapagos, at least a half day.
And this is like the title sequence, probably like sailing across the ocean, like Darwinism, Yep. Okay.
I think so. And yeah, he's like, I see the Galapagos. He's just like, bring it in. And Will's just like, I think it's just a little rough. The waters is just, and he's like, no, it's fine.
This shore is all shoals. It's rocks as far as you can see. Where should we pull in?
Don't be such a bitch. Let's go. And they start going, and he's just like, the waves are feeling pretty good. And Will's like, I think. They start rocking a little more, and he's like, all right, okay. Like, I think it's probably Charles at this time. He's like, this one's going to be big. Oh, shit. Oh, fuck. And they smash. Yep. And then it's kind of like a daze, like, hurry, get the fuck up. Yay. And he gets up, and Will's like, get up. And he's like, looks over, Will running to her, and looks over, and there's a giant turtle looking at him.
So he hears two voices, right? Like
I think it's so mumbled, and it's like,
yeah, okay.
Get the fuck up. And then he looks, and Will's saying, get up. And you're like, that doesn't sound like the voice, though. And I think the audience already knows what it is. He looks over at Will, looks over at the turtle, just staring, mugging him. And then I'm not even sure where at that point.
We wrote, Will tells an elaborate story about his love for the vessel. We don't have to do it there. I think we could just do that. It could just be a running joke through the whole movie. Like, everything that was good in my life, you just literally took a shit on. And I don't even know if it's a thing that comes around. Will has no change, but he's just still getting shit on. Then we have... So Darwin is clearly looking for something. He's looking, like, maybe he finds an old tree, like I don't think there's trees in the fucking Galapagos. It's our Galapagos, who cares?
Yeah,
he finds a palm
trees.
tree, like, and it has like an X carved into it or something like that. And he clearly knows what he's been here before. That's part of the backstory. And he's looking for something specific, and it is buried. So he's digging around somewhere. But as he's digging, he finds these turtle eggs. So I think the audience thinks he was looking for the turtle eggs. They seem to be special eggs. And I think you only show that through like a push in, and he's like, good fucking gracious, like whatever.
And you barely see the egg, but it's glowing all around him.
Yeah. He takes them and he starts walking like back toward the rocks, and you hear like, hey, get back here, don't make me chase you down, or like whatever you hear, and he turns around, he sees nothing, so that plays out for however long that joke goes, and then it's the tortoise is talking to him, and he's basically like, wait, what? I think Darwin's, we said maybe he's like less surprised than you would expect. He's more like, you talk, and well, motherfucker, these are my eggs now. And he goes to leave.
Care,
like,
yeah.
He kind of doesn't care. So basically, the big reveal right there in that series is there's a talking tortoise at very least. And then we cut to the Nemesis arriving in his badass yacht. So he has this like crew of minions, and he has this beautiful boat.
The tortoise should actually be telling him a story because he has to turn around. He's like, you can talk? And he's just like, yeah, I can fucking talk. That's my egg. He's like, that's amazing. You can talk. But fuck you, this is my egg. And the tortoise like maybe tells him like, aren't you amazed that we can talk for centuries? He's like, and then he just leaves. He's about to get something into.
Yeah. He walks away. So I think that I like that as a little joke, but then just, if we keep going with a Danny McBride character playing this, the next beat we have is Darwin captures the turtle. So I kind of like it, like coming back, and he captures the turtle, however that happens, and he's like, are you kidding me, motherfucker? You thought I was going to walk away from you? You're a talking turtle. I'm going to change the world. So basically he begins, we have sort of like right now it's a montage in mind. I'm not exactly sure, but the new goal for him, it was to find that thing. He found the eggs. He captured the turtle. His new goal is to capture as many animals. It would be funny if he's trying to make all these other animals talk, and maybe they don't. Maybe that's not how it works, which is a good possibility. We did talk about what are the rules of the world. And I think the rules of the world, the bigger idea is that this turtle is trying to breed his own children who will be able to still speak English or whatever, like still speak the human tongue, because most animals have lost it. And there's been kind of an animal battle for centuries that is like, we should just, fuck off from the human world. We should never let them know we talk. We should just keep this, and we should literally murder off all of the talking animals, kind of, like this. And that's like a way backstory we might not even get into, but so the bottom line is some of these animals don't talk, and Darwin's trying to make like iguanas like speak to him. And that's when he runs into his nemesis. There's also Will's trying to fix the boat. So they're trying to fix the boat. Darwin's seeing how many animals he can trap and capture to bring back. And I think that he's probably holding the eggs as hostage to hold the tortoise hostage to give him information. So like, there's sort of a hostage situation where there could be scenes where Darwin and the turtle have this, like philosophical debate kind of dialogue, because the tortoise can't leave because he wants his eggs. And that's when Darwin and the nemesis have their first encounter. Which is, I don't know if we really got that far, but it's basically like Darwin would be like, why the fuck are you here? This is my spot. And he, I would say, Idris is still digging a little bit, like maybe he's like, I'm here for the same thing you are, which is he's like trying to figure out like what he's saying, like trying to get it out of him. So then we move into a segment of the movie where Darwin and the turtle start to develop a friendship. I think the nemesis thing we really do need to figure out here, though, because like, what is the nemesis doing there? Like maybe he just sees Darwin capturing animals, and he's just like, all right, capture animals. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do everything he does.
I like that.
And we're gonna beat him to it. You know what? Interestingly, this is a sidebar, but I looked up like some Darwin history.
Yeah.
And there is a thing where he had like some kind of, I don't know if it was a rival, but there was a person working on the same exact theory as
they
him.
came up with it at the same time.
And Darwin
but they
like
basically
rushed his out.
Yeah, I think they ultimately kind of just partnered on like the paper. But it was weird. Like,
So
There
either
is,
way,
like, a weird
I think
rivalry
the
that
nemesis
could be.
doesn't know what he's looking for, but he's just kind of spying on. I think openly spying on Darwin, trying to, you know what I mean, just like do everything that he does, but he still doesn't know about the turtle. And in this part of the movie, we kind of find out that Darwin is actually kind of knowledgeable. He does want the turtle egg, and there is like some back and forth between the turtle and him, which is kind of the same. You know, it's like we don't exactly know what's happening. We're kind of in the dregs of this like second act here. But then obviously it doesn't have to be terribly long. I'm thinking, you know, these from the nemesis arriving to the nemesis discovering is like maybe 20 pages. So the nemesis discovers the talking animals. Does he capture the turtle there?
Where is the turtle right now? Because we have Darwin captures the turtle. Does he release him at some point?
I think the turtle is released, but he's not going to leave because he has the eggs. He put them on a high shelf. You know what I mean? It's like the turtle can't get to him. You know, I do think Darwin should. So William's trying to fix the boat, and Darwin's like using his wood to make like a little makeshift like laboratory sort of setup. You know, like as Will's putting pieces on the boat, Darwin's like ripping them off the other side, and he has this like little hut. So I feel like because there has to be some kind of home base like set. You know, that set piece would be kind of fun.
I feel like we are missing the save the cat a little bit. You kind of hate both people really hard.
Yeah.
I do want to go back to he does need the egg. I like him capturing the turtle because he is a fucking talking turtle. But I will say that having that female character as the wife of the turtle was nice because she has the eggs and she looks for Darwin for help when the egg is having issues. And
Right.
Darwin goes and helps.
Yep,
and he
yep,
could
yep, yep.
easily just take the egg then, but he doesn't. He helps her, and she kind of gives a little story about him, her husband, and how they're kind of the same. You know, they're similar in many ways, and how they could help each other. And I don't know if at this point Charles would have the turtle, though, and she'd be like, I know you're not going to hurt him. I know you captured him. That would be weird, but I definitely think that Save the Cat moment makes you feel that Darwin is good. And then when Idris comes in, you're just like, okay, well, who is this guy? What is he doing? You already kind of feel like he's the bad guy anyway. We try to make him seem like he wasn't, but I think no matter what, because he's so egotistical, this guy, they both are. I think you kind of hate both of them as the problem. You're not rooting for anybody, I feel like, at this point. You're kind of just like, well, he took the turtle, and now he just let the turtle go. He stole the egg, and then he just still has it.
Like, took Will's bow and
Maybe
like was a dick to Will,
it's
kind of, which is funny.
There's not
but
one
like,
little moment,
he isn't,
and I
like,
think the night of that first night before he goes to bed, there can be a moment of like he might have a heart. Maybe Charles Darwin actually lost his daughter in real life.
Yeah.
So maybe there could be a picture that he's looking at before he goes to bed, and you're like, okay, he obviously is sad about something that happened to this girl. That could be his daughter, and at least that makes you feel a little bit of sympathy, but then he's a dick, all the way up to the midpoint at this point, unless we try to put a little bit of something in here.
So what we're missing is Darwin frees the turtle and the eggs. I don't know where these go. I'm just kind of writing them in. The wife asks Darwin for help. Darwin saves the egg. Maybe he hatches a baby turtle just to like kind of have a visual.
Yeah.
And also I feel like it would be a nice moment for Darwin. Maybe that little sequence where he brings the turtle to his tent, his camp, and he has him captured. Would it be like right there that him and the turtle get into an argument and he releases the turtle? Probably not. He just captured a talking turtle. He's going to keep it for a little bit. He's going to capture the other animals while he's fixing the ship. He's going to run into Idris, and Idris is going to be just copying him. And then somewhere in here, like in the evening or something, there's like, he has the turtle trapped like close to him, and they have a conversation. Whatever the outcome of that is, he lets the turtle and the eggs go free. Or he brings the eggs back with the turtle. And then so I feel like maybe the turtle is still watching him, because he's sort of like an elder on this island. Because the turtle's new goal would be like, hey, don't take any of these animals. I know you set me free.
You can
Now-
study us. You can
Yeah,
study
yeah,
me.
yeah.
You can study me. Like,
You can study me. Let everyone go.
yeah, sacrifices himself.
And the ultimate goal is for him to say, "Don't tell the whole world about this. I know you think you made the best discovery, and maybe you did, but some things are better left undiscovered."
Unsaid, yeah.
So as that's happening, and what's his name is spying, I'd say, like, in the evening, the wife turtle comes. Should the turtle be captured before that happens? So she's like, "I don't know where my husband is, but this egg is, there's a problem with our egg."
Yeah, hold up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, all right, Turtle is trying to free all the animals, convince Darwin not to tell the world. Darwin brings the turtle back, and he basically says, I'll give myself up for it, but we need to bring the eggs back. Okay, so yeah, Turtle sacrifices for the rest of the animals. Turtle's trying to free all the animals, convince Darwin not to tell the world. Darwin releases him as the turtle's walking back to his place with the egg or something.
So
The lackey, he's like talking to himself, like, fucking Charles Darwin thinks he fucking knows everything, and the cat's in the woods like, huh?
what if, yeah, what if this, my idea was like, all right, so Darwin's like capturing these animals while the turtle is captured. The turtle is witnessing all these things, and the turtle's eggs are also captured. The turtle says something to Darwin, something like, "Have you ever been a father? Do you understand? These eggs need their mother. This is, like, I'm begging you as a father, please." And Darwin just brings the eggs back and lets the turtle go. But then the turtle, so the eggs are free, but the turtle is still watching Darwin because Darwin's still putting iguanas and, bats and other things in cages. So then the turtle comes back and he's like, "I know there's good in you. You freed my eggs. Please let these other ones go. They don't even speak." He's like, "If you let everyone go and you promise not to take anybody off this island, I will sacrifice. I'll give myself to you to study.
Like wherever
But
you
no,
want to take
no
me.
butt shit and no penis stuff. You can study everything else."
And Charles is going to be like, that's...
Sorry.
The
you
butt
can't-
stuff
no
is a
promise.
deal breaker. Like, what am I going to tell the world? That could happen as the same moment, but that at least spreads it out. Like, there's more movie happening that could be funny and interesting as he's like trapping bats and things like that. I don't know.
Right, because there's no fun
Yeah,
games here.
Fun games.
Really, I
It's
think
like-
capturing the animals and fixing the ship is like actually
funny games.
It's like 15 minutes of movie, and I'd say we could, if we could fill in, let's get the most necessary beats in, and then we'll kind of come back and be like, what could beef this up, and what decisions is Darwin making?
Yeah, what is
whatever.
the midpoint here? What is like the false victory?
What we have is the nemesis is a dick. We find that out. He captures the turtle, cut its throat out, he says. Darwin is given the egg, and he decides to look for the turtle. There's a confrontation between him and the nemesis. Darwin is captured and beaten. While they're enslaved together, him and the turtle talk about the animal history, and he's changing the turtle's changing Darwin's mind. And he has to force the nemesis to leave the island and protect the talking animals. It becomes his new goal. Then we have a Jungle Book moment of animals versus sailors, and then they get off the island. That's what we have right now. I feel like we are missing a whole bunch.
Yes.
Like, this could all actually be the same because it feels like it's happening. Like, it feels more active in the movie. I would prefer to have him captured early. I prefer to be more conflict earlier. Like captured, escaped. I don't know how many times you do that, but like if they do escape, but I mean, there's a big thing we left
Right.
out here, which is like Idris Elba's a witch.
Right.
I know that's like now we're making a different movie, but we said it early on.
Yeah,
Is he
we
like
did.
what are the boundaries on that? Like,
There are no boundaries. Yeah.
like he's a sorcerer.
It might be a little
It's so
much.
bad. Yeah, it's too bad. It's like a Smurfs movie now. But I feel like maybe the false victory would be
Can make it a musical.
Idris Elba.
Turtle talks.
Idris Elba lets them go. What if the lackeys and everyone else captures them? What if the cut its throat out moment happens later?
Okay.
And
So what if the lackey is ahead of his boss, basically?
yes.
And they're like, "Where's Idris? He's still getting ready."
I mean, this is very Up and other movies, but like the whole, that's no way to treat our guests. What are you guys doing? You know, like, so Idris is still the good guy.
Oh, that's good.
He lets them go because he knows those eggs are going to be worth more than any palace on the whole entire planet. This is, you know, like if you could hatch those eggs and breed those turtles that talk, you know, I don't know. You have the best zoo. I don't really know what the actual value is, but rich people are crazy.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
You have a friend that'll live 100 years with you.
or is that too much of a false? Because like the audience isn't dumb. The audience knows from the first scene probably that Idris Elba's a bad person. You know,
Yeah,
if
I
we're
think
really
kinda-
trying,
He's
it's
the
too,
bully
like,
for
you know,
sure from
if
the
this-
beginning. So
Because I feel like in Up, like in that example, you kind of actually
Yes.
they built it so you believe the guy.
Yeah, you
You
do.
know, you're like he is actually an explorer. You know, we could shift it that way, but I feel like not really, because in the plot he literally follows Darwin to like see what he's doing. He's already kind of a dick. You know, like, so that might not work. But I was just trying to think of like how we expand this. You know, kind of making this third
So
act.
yeah, why? What? Maybe maybe he does. If the lackey does capture him, he says that, but it still seems pretty obvious because the lackey had orders. Obviously, he knows like that Idris hates him, and that's why
Yeah.
he captures him. But
And
what if
he's
they
a
do?
bully from the beginning, like burying him and everything else. So it's like
Yeah, he was an asshole before this movie started. We can't like.
What if they build a big fire? Like Will's like, we need to get off this island. I'm gonna build a big fire so someone sees it, and maybe that's what the nemesis says. Like, oh, I was here because you guys built that fire. It was like a signal. We were traveling.
Yep.
And he'd be like, you were just traveling? He's like, yeah, I was just traveling. Like, I'm just here to help, but we can leave. Like, we didn't
Yeah.
know it was you. And that could be like, I'm just trying to help. And he's like, well, that's kind of weird. Like, I didn't think you were going to be setting sail.
There's something here. I mean, we just have to plant it like way earlier. And then there's two things in my mind. Number one, we have to actually make Idris and Charles have a real relationship before this movie starts.
Yeah.
And then number two, we have to build this whole basically like, Charles, don't go. You're in a bad way. You've lost your family. You've lost everything. And I'm scared that if you try to go out and find another discovery right now, you're never coming back. And you are a good scientist and the world needs you. That would be Idris talking. So if we build it in a way that's like Idris is coming to help Charles, it's a little bit of a stretch, but you could plan it early on. And then I feel like the audience isn't dumb enough, you know, to
No,
like,
yeah, they're going to know. I still think he buried him alive.
yeah, that's the main thing. Is like he already buried him
Yeah,
alive.
but I
It's
forget.
like he's a bully to him. There's no like you got to the
But they
point
don't
where
know
you're
the
doing that,
extent of
but-
how bad he is.
right.
Yeah, like they
He
don't
gets
know he's
bad.
a witch.
He
and they
literally
don't
will kill
know
them.
He's like that evil. Yeah.
Here's something we didn't do just yet, which is like the idea is Charles came to the Galapagos to find something that he left. And we talked about he had this daughter that passed away, the real Charles Darwin.
Mm-hmm.
And we said maybe he left an item the last time he was in the Galapagos because the idea for him was like, I'm leaving here and I'm not going to be that Charles Darwin ever again. The one who's sad and the one who's filled with despair and emptiness and stuff. I'm going to bury that here, and I'm going to go home and be the world's greatest. I don't even know his fucking career. Like, what was he? Like, the world's greatest writer of biology
Biology.
Yeah,
books.
he was
You know, like,
biologist.
Well, I mean, I think
but he
Everyone
couldn't.
agreed
But
on
you
his
can't
theory.
ever actually get rid of that. You know, like in your life, you can't just bury your past and rid yourself totally of your sadness unless legitimately you're a sociopath. You can't do that. So it's a thick plot line that we didn't really bring in yet because like somewhere, and that would beef up a little bit of the second act. Like, does he find that item? What is that item? And you know, and then What meaning does it hold for
Yeah,
him?
like,
It's not a lot.
what is
actually.
like
It's only,
connection
a
to
couple
his
scenes.
past? Because he originally went to the islands to like, he was very young. He didn't want his dad wanted him to become a priest. I think I mean, we don't have to include this, but like, and he was like preteen or like very early teenager, like maybe late teenager, and he was just out there doing his thing. So like maybe it could be tied to some kind of like father-son thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Again with the turtle and the turtle eggs, there could be like a connection there.
All right. Well, here's where we're gonna break, and so I think we have a pretty solid first act, leading us to a second act that is light. It's kind of falls off and tapers. We have what could be a really good third act turn. I think we were originally saying in them getting captured. Like leading toward the climax, which was gonna be like a Jungle Book moment, which I still kind of like.
But there was still a whole history of the island and the animals before that, and a civil war that I don't even know if we're adding anymore.
Right. It's like a backstory that's there was a shark.
Yeah, and that shark comes back. Was
the
like
shark
the
comes
thing.
back.
And the shark is a witch.
That stuff. The shark is also a witch.
Oh, it's a cat.
So
cat
on the
fish.
next episode, I think we need to expand on those bigger ideas for the second act and how much of like the backstory in the world we're gonna bring in, and then try to figure out what is our third act. How do we actually want this movie to end? What do we want the real ending to be? We write in that ending, and we'll just kind of work backwards to those climax moments that we like, and see how big that third act is to see how we can.
And end as in like the end of the battle. What
I
happens?
think the last frame of the movie.
Oh, last frame of the movie I already know.
Yeah.
They're on Weed Island.
Weed Island, right? Okay.
Because they go find an island that fits them both, and there's jellyfish everywhere, and the turtle's like, I think I found it. And Darwin's just like, that's great, but there's nothing here for us.
Beautiful.
And we will find something else. And then Will's like, Charles, look at the trees, and they're all weed trees.
All right. So
and then it's like,
So I guess they do smoke weed in the middle somewhere, like.
Oh, they definitely
for
have
the
to do
first time,
they
or
definitely
like
have to do like the jellyfish thing, in the movie. It's got to be a plant. All right, so when we come back, we're gonna do Act 3, a little bit of Act 2, or at very least, we're just gonna keep moving forward. So stay tuned with Darwinism.